I'll kind of put a timeline in our WhatsApp group as well as a reminder. Okay, all right. Sharing my screen. All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today we'll be doing something. We'll be doing a chapter of communication climate, the foundation of personal relationship. Okay, all right. Some of my students previously, when they look at the title of the chapter, bila tengok tajuk chapter ni, the foundation of personal relationship. Sir nak cakap pasal apa ni? Getaway ke, boyfriend girlfriend ke, husband and wife ke? Alright. Before we begin the whole chapter tonight, alright, I would like to emphasize, saya ingin tekankan bahawa the foundation of personal relationship doesn't only lingers around romantic or intimate kind of relationship. Bukan hanya berkisar tentang hubungan romantik ataupun hubungan-hubungan yang girlfriend boyfriend ataupun husband and wife. Okay, so when we talk about personal relationship, it can be also your relationship, okay, with your mom and dad, okay, family members, siblings, relative, friends, okay, anyone yang kita rasa which are very close, and also we would like to share a lot of our personal details. Kadang-kadang orang luar pun, contoh let's say cikgu kita ataupun coach kita pun boleh jadi very close to us because we share some personal details with them. Alright, we are being open to them and they are also being open to us. So the closeness between these two particular individual are called personal relationship. Okay. Alright, communication climate can be described as the overall feeling or emotional mood between people. Okay, secara amnya adalah melibatkan perasaan ataupun mood di antara individu tersebut. Alright, it can be warm or cold, can be safe or anxious, comfortable or awkward, accepting or rejecting, open or guarded. So these are some of the example of emotion and also feelings, alright, that we experience, yang kita alami semasa kita berhadapan dengan personal relationship. Alright, and these are shaped by verbal and non-verbal interaction between people. Dan perkara-perkara ini, these feelings, these emotion, alright, are shaped dengan cara kita berkomunikasi, alright, be it verbally or non-verbally. Alright, cara kita berkomunicate ni kita tengok serang-serang, macam contoh kalau teacher An lah, tengok anak murid ni kan, cara dia communicate dengan cikgu ni, rapat ni, nampak lain macam, bukan lain macam, maksudnya nampak very close. Alright, they always share problem. For example, kalau dalam banyak-banyak cikgu, dia suka jumpa teacher An sebab teacher An ni is always somebody who would like to hear problems from the students, for example. Okay, so cara percakapan, cara komunikasi itu sendiri, it shows how close we are to any particular individual. Right, so features of satisfying personal relationship ataupun ciri-ciri hubungan personal ni yang tak pernah cakap memuaskan pula, yang orang cakap good lah. Alright, something that you think which is very good in a personal relationship. Alright, so number one, okay, ciri pertama adalah investment, alright, ataupun the contribution. For example, contribution in terms of time, energy, emotion, money, alright, that we make to relationship without expecting to get them back if the relationship ends. So in the most satisfying relationship, everyone feels like the investment made by all involved are roughly equal. Sebagai contoh, kita ambil kalau yang agak rare lah, for example, hubungan antara kita dengan seorang rakan baik kita ni, right? So we always, let's say masa kita kecil-kecil ada seorang kawan kita sangat baik, alright, we spend a lot of time together, play football together, go and swim in the river together and everything. But one day dia terpaksa pindah, ikut ayah dia berpindah kerja ke something like that. Although that relationship has to end, alright, we, in our sadness, we still feel satisfied that we know this person. Kita masih rasa kita happy and gembira that we have the chance to spend our time and also do a lot of activities and also know this particular person. Alright, although this particular person has already become one of our, let's say, good memories in our life, for example. Okay, so we didn't expect anything back. Kita tak rasa ralat ke, kita tak rasa nak malah kena tinggal ke, kita tak rasa, we did not feel any hatred towards that relationship although it has ended. Dan if we are talking about the most extreme, bukan extreme lah, maksudnya to the extreme of relationship that has ended, for example, perceraian lah. Contoh kadang-kadang ada pasangan ni walaupun dia bercerai, alright, they are not tak kesefahaman dah, they are not in line together in terms of their understanding, they still reach out, contact, spend time with the kids for example, dia tak ada konflik, tak ada masalah, become good friend or best friend. For example, kalau macam contoh kita tengok, mungkin pada awalnya kita nampak Abi Abadi dengan Norma Hakim ni bergaduh lah awal-awal dia kahwin dengan Meme Suhaizah tu kan. But in the end, they become good friends. Okay, the family always spend time together, tak awkward and everything. So this is one of the example of investment that they have shown in relationship. Alright. If we think that the whatever it is that we have invested, apa yang kita dah laburkan dalam relationship tu tak berbaloi, kita akan sentiasa rasa envy, rasa marah, rasa tertekan, sedih, and all of sorts of negative feelings that happen if we think that the investment that we make is not worth it, right? And then of course commitment. So it's a personal choice we make to keep a personal relationship alive in the future. How much that we are committed to our relationship, be it relationship in terms of romantical relationship, husband and wife, or girlfriend, boyfriend, um, or as family members, or as being a good friend as well, right? How much we would like to be committed, how much we would like to give everything in that particular relationship. Okay, and then of course trust. We develop in a relationship as the people involved do what they say they will do and support each other. And of course trust is the most essential thing in any relationship. Dalam apa-apa jenis hubungan sekalipun, kepercayaan, alright, trust is the most is the basis, alright, is the basis of all form of relationship. And then of course self-disclosure, alright, the revelation of personal information about ourselves that others are unlikely to discover in other ways. So when we disclose ourselves to people that we rely on, for example, or people that we think have a very good personal relationship with us, right? We know that this particular information is it's not a secret actually, but it's something that we don't like to share with others, only with selection of people that we know who are very close to us. Okay, and then we do have in this particular chapter what we call dialectics or relational dialectics. Okay, so relational dialectics is the opposing forces that are continuous and normal in relationship. So dialectic itself ni is a term to describe the way that we ask question or inquire or discuss, all right, about the truth of opinions or about the contradiction, right? Apa yang berlawanan, the opposing matters and also their solution. So how do we comfort relational dialectics? Macam mana kita nak menenangkan ataupun nak orang kata apa, to reduce dialectic tension ni? Because we know when we are talking about relation dialectics, we are talking about things which are very opposing, alright, in relationship. Benda yang agak bertentangan lah dalam relationship ni. Apa yang dia suka tak semestinya kita suka. Apa yang kawan kita suka isap okok, kita tak isap okok, for example. Walaupun sebaik mana pun kita with that particular person, sometimes there are things that we don't like and there are things about us that they also don't like as well. Alright. So how do we, macam mana kita nak cater ataupun macam mana kita nak menghadapi this kind of opposing factors ataupun relational dialectics. Okay. So number one, we need to address our desire for independence. Alright, or we call it as autonomy. Alright, and also interdependence or connection. Kita perlu tahu sejauh mana kita ni nak menjadi orang yang individualistic. Kita bersifat independent lah. Ataupun kita bersifat interdependence ataupun we need to have connection. For example, sometimes tengah orang dia clash dia dengan girlfriend dia, terus cari girlfriend lain, terus cari boyfriend lain, for example lah. So they are very interdependent to another individual. Dia tak boleh jadi an autonomous person. Alright. Number two, we need to address our desire for what is familiar or habitual. Right? Something which is very predictable or predictability, and what is new or different. Okay, ataupun novelty. Sometimes kita juga harus melihat hubungan kita ni dari aspek perbuatan ataupun pelakuan harian kita yang very habitual ataupun very familiar, yang kita dah tahu everyday we gonna do this particular activity. Everyday breakfast nasi lemak tu canai, everyday breakfast lemak tu canai, everyday breakfast lemak tu canai. Or sometimes you also need to address our needs, okay, for something which is quite new or different ataupun novelty. Si lemak canai, si lemak canai, tutup tiba-tiba hari ni ada mi kari for example. Si lemak tu canai, si lemak canai. There's this one day that you would like to have fish and chips for example. All right. So in order to address this kind of relational dialectic, sometimes tengah orang dia suka something which is very habitual. Sometimes tengah orang dia suka something yang new, every day something new in their relationship. Okay. And then we need to address our desire for open communication or openness and also privacy or closeness. So sometimes we need to know there are certain parts in our life that we would like to keep close to ourselves. All right. And then sometimes we know that there are certain parts of our life that we should share with another person which has a good personal relationship with us. Okay. All right. We can manage this tension through neutralizing them. Alright. Relational dialectics ni kita boleh manage alright things that are opposing between us ni dengan cara neutralizing them ataupun kita select one over another ataupun kita separate one from another into different aspect of our life ataupun kita reframe the tension by redefining what the tension means to us, meaning that whatever is tension to us, maybe we can redefine it as something that doesn't really affect us in the future. Okay. Jadi ini adalah antara example of autonomy or connection. For example, if you want to be autonomous, I need my own space. If you want to have connection, I want to be close. Novelty and predictability, I like the familiar rhythm and routines of our relationship. Predictability, we need to do something new and different. Novelty, all right. Openness or closeness, I like sharing so much with you. Openness, there are some things I don't want to talk with you. All right, closeness, okay. So when we deal with dialectical tension, we negotiate the dialectical tension. All right, these are the four things that I mentioned just now. All right, how do you manage and negotiate dialectical tension? Macam mana kita nak menghadapi dan juga to make them balance dan juga berunding. Macam mana kita nak kurangkan sikit dialectical tension? Because we cannot like 100% throw away things like that. We cannot like 100% throw away all the tension. Sometimes the tension has to be there. It's just a matter of how we negotiate ataupun the matter of how we try to put things into a neutralized kind of manner. All right. So number one, by neutralization, meaning that to negotiate a balance between two dialectical needs. So each need is met to an extent, but neither is fully satisfied. Right. For example, one particular person kita suka autonomous. Our friend over here, although they close, walaupun dia close friend kita, but he is very interdependent. Sometimes kita pun rasa nak ada me time, for example. Kawan kita ni asyik nak ikut je kita gimana, for example. So we need to neutralize these two by saying to him, okay, there are certain things that I would like to do alone. There are certain things that I would like to do with you. Alright. So there are check and balance, alright, in neutralizing your dialectical tension. All right. Number two, selection. All right. So you give priority to one dialectical need and neglect the other. Okay. For example, the routine, all right, predictability and also novelty. All right. Sometimes, okay, sometimes you think that something which is predictable, something yang routine ni sangat bagus because you are living in a very fast lane nowadays. Hari-hari kerja kena bangun awal, kena keluar rumah awal, kena masuk kerja awal, and then you have to come back a bit late in the evening. So if you want to come back early, you have to go off to work very early. So why not, rather than spending a lot of time cooking mi kari ke goreng nasi lemak apa, we just make egg and toast. That's it. Sangat senang, sangat cepat. So you just neglect, alright, whatever it is that need to be new, the novelty part, and then just go on, alright, give priority, okay, to the things which are very routine, which is the predictability part of your dialectical tension. Okay. Number three, by separating this dialectical tension. All right. So you assign one dialectical needs to certain spheres of interaction and the opposing dialectical needs to other aspect of interaction. All right. For example, openness and closeness. Okay. Sometimes contoh paling mudah adalah husband and wife lah, for example. Okay. Sometimes there are husband and wife that doesn't share their phone ataupun doesn't share their password of the phone. For example, tak add Facebook, saya tak add Facebook awak tak add Facebook saya tak main social media awak tak main social media saya, for example. Doesn't know any of the password or username of the account or anything. Alright, sometimes ada pasangan yang dia tahu saya tahu password awak, awak tahu password saya boleh buka phone awak, awak boleh buka phone saya. Alright, so that one is being very open. Alright, but sometimes okay, you need to separate them. For example contohlah, kita ambil Cik Jamal lah sebagai contoh, ataupun ada kawan kita tu nama Cik Azran for example. So these two particular figures, they are working closely with let's say political figures lah, macam Cik Azran tu dia kerja dengan Tok Pa for example. So there are things maybe which are very confidential, something yang very private that cannot be shared to the public, ataupun tak boleh lah nak senang suka-suka hati kita. Sebab kita husband ni sometimes bila kita balik rumah letih-letih tu, kita suka cari wife kita, duduk minum kopi, sembang-sembang kerja tadi macam mana. Alright, and then but then we sometimes in terms of keeping things private and confidential, maklumat-maklumat macam ni, contoh maklumat-maklumat sulit negara ke and everything, mungkin Cik Azran has to put aside that particular information, ataupun maybe for example put aside one particular phone untuk kerja yang involving Tok Pa and everything, and one particular phone, alright, is for family. Kalau sayang nak check apa, sayang buka phone ni abang tak boleh bagi check lah sebab ni ada banyak mesej Tok Pa and everything, for example lah. So you need to separate between which things that can be open and which things that can be very close. Apa benda yang kita boleh share, apa benda yang kita tak boleh share, alright, with the people that we are close with, alright, be it family members ke, husband or wife ke, girlfriend, boyfriend ke, close friend pun sekalipun, okay. And then reframing, okay. Reframing, partners redefine contradictory needs as not in opposition. Alright, meaning that sometimes there are things, right, that is really doesn't actually gonna cause tension in that particular relationship. So you redefine this as something which is very which is not harmful lah. For example, saya ambil contoh balik yang open and closeness tadi. Alright, so if we think that if our husband pula, si laki je, if we think that our husband sebab dia tak tunjuk kita phone dia, doesn't share password phone ke and everything, alright, we think that he has some kind of scandal ke, ataupun ada duk message siapa-siapa ke and everything, but actually it doesn't happen like that. For example lah, contoh benda tak jadi pun macam tu. So we need to reframe, alright, kita kena reframe and redefine, alright, our needs towards openness ni, alright, and then we have to put it as something that okay, I have to understand this is because the phone is actually maybe used by my husband for working purposes, for example. Okay, so kita kena redefine this as not being a dialectical tension, hanya something yang which is very common. Ataupun we always think that okay, wife kita ni, kita laki kan, for example, hari-hari makan benda sama, tak apa, wife kita ada hari dia nak masak, ada hari dia rasa nak makan luar, ada hari nak makan char-kway-teow, ada hari nak makan somtam apa-apalah kan, ada hari nak pergi suarin jinda apa macam tu lah contoh kan. So sometimes we doesn't like, because sometimes contoh macam saya sendiri, kalau ada kedai yang saya pergi, saya selesa dan saya suka, saya akan keep on going to that particular restaurant, right. Tapi sometimes ada orang, bukan ladies sajalah, guys pun dia cepat boring, they always want something new. So we need to redefine that something novelty ataupun benda-benda baru dalam hidup ni is actually good to us. Alright, so we doesn't seem like tak nak pergi kedai baru pula, nanti kan tak sedap, menyesal, nanti kan mahal, menyesal. Sometimes we have to redefine this particular tension, change ourselves from being someone who is very kind of planned person ataupun orang yang suka rutin kepada orang yang suka something new as well, because it is kind of very healthy to your relationship as well. So that is reframing, okay? Alright, so there are a few levels of confirmation and disconfirmation in personal relationship. So ada beberapa peringkat di mana dalam personal relationship ni we confirm our relationship, maknanya kita confirm ni maksud saya kita we identify that this is a relationship for us. Sometimes we disconfirm the relationship. We identify this is not a personal relationship for me. Okay. So confirmation is feeling known and validated as an individual. Alhamdulillah, sorry. So number one, we get recognized. Alright, recognize the other person exists. Kita tahu bahawa this particular person that we are close to exists. Okay. And then going to the next level, we acknowledge them. Alright, which is the second level. we acknowledge of what other feels, thinks or say. So we acknowledge ni, kita tahu, kita hargai dan kita terima, alright, whatever it is that they are feeling, or whatever it is that they are thinking, whatever it is that they are saying. And when we go to the endorsement level, alright, it involves another's feeling or thoughts as well. So kita pun dah jadi open, alright, and we tend to be open in the third level. We are not just listening, we are not just accepting, we are also opening and also giving out information about us to the person that we are close to in personal relationship. Okay. So these are example of confirming and disconfirming messages. So when you confirm, you recognize that another person exists, acknowledge that another person matters to you, and endorse, all right, what we believe is true. But then when you disconfirm, you deny the person's existence, you indicate the other person doesn't matter, and you reject another person's feeling or thoughts. All right. So one is positive, one is a negative way. Right. So these are example of confirming and disconfirming messages. All right. When you recognize, you will say you exist, hello. But when you don't recognize, you don't exist, and then you keep on silence, and the cycle goes on. You matter to me, you don't matter to me. We have a relationship, we are not a team. I'm sorry you're hurt, you'll get over it. And when you endorse what you think is true, you are wrong. What you feel is okay. You shouldn't feel what you do. I feel the same way. Your feeling doesn't make sense. Okay. All right, communication that creates supportive and defensive relational climate. So in our relational climate, sometimes, okay, there are a few form of communication, right, that can create supportive and also create defensive kind of relational climate. All right. So number one, we have evaluation versus description. So we create a supportive climate, satu climate yang sangat supportive, right, when we describe behavior and others. We create defensive climate when we judge or evaluate others. Right? Walaupun nampak macam lebih kurang, right? But then by describing, alright, as if you are actually confirming sebenarnya kita describing. But then apabila kita judge or evaluate, alright, we are not just describing, but kita bagi pendapat kita dan kita judge lagi. So we are creating a defensive climate. Certainty versus provisionalism. Alright, provisionalism is you feel that you are correct, but still you are willing to listen to other person, right? So you create a climate when we communicate openness to a variety of points of view, such as provisionalism, all right? But then, all right, we create defensive climate when we use language that indicates there is only one way to view a situation, right? It's either my way, all right, such as showing certainty. All right. So by expressing provisionalism, although you know that you are correct, but then you are still giving ways or giving room for others to also contribute and also give out their thoughts. All right. But then when you are being too certain, all right, whatever it is, I know that my way is the number one, or my way is the best way compared to the others. All right. So it will create a climate of defensive kind of relational climates, right? And then strategy versus spontaneity, we create supportive climates when our communication feels open, honest and spontaneous. Alright. Sebab tu kadang-kadang apa-apa yang spontan keluar dari mulut kita ini is very honest actually. But then we create defensive climates when our communication feels manipulative, premeditated ataupun planned and also strategic. Sometimes tengah orang ni, contoh saya cakap saya sendirilah, saya suka something yang plan. For example, if you are going out tomorrow, what will we do? Where will we go? Alright, how many time will we spend there? What are the things that we will buy? Sometimes, setengah orang dia tak suka macam tu. Out of the blue, jom esok pergi KB. Okay. And then esok out of the blue, pusing atau panjang kejap lah. Okay. And then out of the blue, rasa nak pergi, let's say tak plan. Macam tak plan nak pergi makan apa, nak pergi beli apa, nak pergi jalan mana. We only have one day. Contoh saya macam saya dari Jeli kan. 2 jam dah on the road dah, for example. So sometimes people prefer to be spontaneous, alright, because it creates a very kind of supportive climate in relationship. Follow je, ikut je, boleh, jom. Sometimes, alright, it being a strategized person ataupun being someone yang sangat pre-plan, sangat manipulative here means that you are, when you come up with plans to do, when you come up with strategy, alright, you will always tend to ask people to follow your plan. Macam itulah. Contoh kalau kita dah plan tu, orang kena ikut lah kan. Alright, and kena pula orang yang ikut tu orang yang jenis spontaneous. So dia macam follow je lah, follow je lah. Alright, but then it will create some sort of a defensive kind of communication climate or not healthy kind of communication climate. Control versus problem orientation. So we create supportive climate when we use communication to find ways of satisfying everyone involved in the interaction. But then we create defensive climates when we try to control, triumph over, or manipulate others what they think and what they do. Alright, sometimes we tend to be open, supportive climate in form of problem orientation. Whatever happen, kita suka libatkan semua orang, kita suka ask everyone's opinion, kita tak nak everything is only centered about us. But if we are being a kind of a control freak ataupun control person, whatever it is, alright, kita mesti ada that kind of feeling that people need to follow us. Walaupun kita tak voice out lah yang all of you need to follow me. No, tapi sometimes we will have that kind of feeling, and the way we act, the way we communicate, our tone of voice will also indicate that we like to be in control of that situation. All right. Neutrality versus empathy. We create supportive climates when we demonstrate empathy or care about the other person, of course. All right. But then we create defensive climate when we are in a neutral, detached, or indifferent way. All right. Apa masalahnya dengan jadi neutral? Tak okay ke sir? Being neutral is okay, but then sometimes, all right, when people tend to tell their problems or tend to come to us when they have issues ataupun tend to ask us to lend them your ears, okay, being neutral ni macam kita tak kisah sangat ataupun kita tak bagi pendapat ataupun as if we are not paying attention, we are detached from that particular interaction. Kita tak pay attention sangat, kita macam dengar apa acuh tak acuh, endah tak endah. But then when you show empathy, alright, you will demonstrate your empathy by showing concern. It can be shown in your verbal and also non-verbal interaction. Kita guna tone of voice, cara kita use our gestures ke, cara kita beliakkan mata, cara kita use the tone, betul, tak baik dah dia buat macam tu kat kau. Right, so these are form of neutrality and also empathy. Alright. Superiority versus equality. We create supportive climate when we use communication to indicate that all parties are equal, right? But then we create a defensive climate when we use communication to indicate that one person is superior to another. Right? So sometimes in an organization lah, for example, sometimes kita ada ketua yang sangat orang cakap apa, sangat not to say sangat equal lah, but then sangat, let's say, sangat tidak mementingkan sangat superiority ni. People still respect him, but then dia akan cuba to mingle around and doesn't care much about how people address him ke, for example. But then there are certain organisation yang dia sangat mementingkan superiority. Alright, bagi dia, he is on the top, for example. Alright, kadang-kadang kita kena address him, let's say as apa, kena panggil tuan ke, for example, panggil encik tu biasalah, kadang-kadang kena panggil tuan ke, kena panggil boss ke, kena panggil chief ke, something like that lah. Alright, okay. Alright, so these are the tables showing confirming and disconfirming communication. Alright, social media and communication climate. Alright, so climate also matters in social media. Alright, so we need to know that not just in communicating verbally and non-verbally, communicating online also involve the climate of relationship. So the security of our disclosure via social media. If you are being too open in social media, is it safe? Kadang-kadang we also need to keep a distance from the social media and try to be to be, you know, not to disclose too many information on social media. And sometimes we experience uncertain acknowledgement, right? Whatever we posted on social media, okay, sometimes orang akan reply dengan ikon bagus ataupun ikon tepuk tangan, for example. So we don't know what kind of acknowledgement is it. Are they happy with what we are doing, or are they just clapping for the sake of other people clapping, or are they clapping in envy? We do not know because we cannot see, and we cannot kita tak boleh tafsirkan the impression that actually have. Kalau kita berdepan ni, we can sometimes we can see from their facial expression ke, tone of voice ke, but then when you are just behind the screen, okay, it will not be there. Tapi sekarang kita dah boleh Google Meet and everything, tapi kadang-kadang Google Meet sendiri pun kita tak rasa. Contoh, kadang-kadang kalau ada kelas dengan student yang buka kamera kan, contoh, saya pun tak tahu dia tengah follow ke, dia tengah dengar ke, dia tengah tidur ke. dia tengah main game bawah laptop mereka, because it is somehow restricted when you are not facing them physically. Alright, reduce the ability to interpret messages. Again, macam apa yang saya cerita tadi, alright, it will reduce our interpretation because we do not actually know, alright, whatever is they are, we cannot see their hand gestures. If they are not speaking, we do not know the tone of voice. Alright, if they are looking at the, for example, they are looking at the screen, but are they actually looking at the lesson ataupun dia buka dua screen untuk main benda lain ke, we do not know about that as well. Okay. Right, so these are some of the guidelines for creating and sustaining healthy climates, right? So please actively use communication to build confirming climates. Try to accept and confirm others. Confirm here maksudnya kita mengesahkan ataupun kita validate that we are in a good relationship with this particular person. And again, I would like to emphasize, saya nak tekankan bahawa relationship ni is not only applicable to romantic or husband and wife kind of relationship. It is also applicable to many form of relationship with which involve individuals interpersonally. All right, affirm and assert. All right, state what we need, feel, or want without putting ourselves above or below others in a relationship. All right. So aggression, assertion, and difference. All right. When we use aggression, we tend to be forceful. Right. For example, we're going to spend time together. Right. When we use assertion, we are actually hanya declare ataupun kita tidaklah memaksa tapi kita macam mengajak. Alright, I like for us to spend more time together. But then when we use deference, alright, we are more of being more respectful in requesting, macam itulah. And also we politely submitting or being submissive to request as well. Alright, it's okay with me if we don't spend time with each other. Sebenarnya kita nak ajak spend time tapi kita put it in a more softer and also in a way that doesn't put tension to the other person to confirm to you. Alright, so if you put aggression, tell me what you're feeling, I insist. Atau if we put more justification or assertion, I would like to understand more about how you feel. But then if we try to be deference, alright, if you don't want to talk about how you feel, it's okay. Walaupun pada asalnya sebenarnya kita tanya kan, I don't care what you want, I'm not going to a movie, I'm really not up for a movie tonight. It's fine with me to go to a movie if you want to. Kalau pergi pun tak apa, tak pergi pun tak apa. Respect diversity in relationship. So because we know the friend, our partner, our husband or wife, our mom or dad, our siblings, our relative, nobody is perfect. Alright, so we must respect diversity in relationship. Sometimes ada orang ni who are very strategized, who are very planned. Sometimes ada orang ni yang very close, sometimes ada orang ni yang very open. So we try to be to select different kind of relation dialectics in that particular interaction. Respond constructively to criticism by seeking more information, right? Consider the validity of the criticism. If it is valid, consider what you want to change and thank the person who offered constructive criticism. Alright, so constructive criticism doesn't only criticize but also provide you with possible solutions. Setengah orang dia kritik. What is your solution? Nothing lah. Ask someone else. I don't know lah. Alright, sometimes people they criticize you, alright, and then they provide you with solution or also suggestion. So that is a constructive criticism. Alright, done with today's topic. Any question on tonight's topic? Ada soalan ke tentang topik malam ni? Oh, somebody is typing. Sorry. No. Alright, thank you. Thank you, Cik Jamal. Okay, if there's no more question, I would like to give you your second assignment. Okay, alright. I'm still sharing my screen kan? I'm still sharing my screen. Okay. So this is the second assignment. Okay, buka sikit, zoom sikit. Okay. Alright. Alah, mana ni? Alright, okay, over here. Alright, so this is the second assignment, which is a case study. Alright. So in this task, alright, okay, the task is consisting of 35 marks, okay. So tarikh ni abaikan yang ni, the new date will be on the 6th of January 2021, okay. 6th of January 2021. Initially it was a week earlier, but then we extended it to the 6th of January 2021, alright. So part A will be consisting of 20 marks, part B 15 marks, all right? So what will you have to do is you will have to analyze the question provided by using suitable communication techniques or guideline. All right. So please take note any form of plagiarism will be penalized. And then again, submission adalah on the 6th of January. Okay. So the question will be based on two chapters, chapter 4, okay, the world of words, and also chapter 9. This one will be done next week, okay, managing conflict in relationship. But then awak boleh start dulu, okay, by telling your experience first. Alright, we go to question 1 first. Okay, read the following stance statement. Determine if each statement contains language that is racist. All right, meaning that you are suggesting that one race is best or the standard, or sexist, meaning that you are suggesting that one sex, male or female, is better or the standard from the other. So propose alternative language for any sentences you consider sexist or racist in their current form. All right, so we have 10 sentences over here. All right. So what I would like you to do is from these sentences, all right, please ask yourself, all right, from your perspective, whether these sentences are sexist or racist. All right. But sometimes bila awak baca, awak akan rasa benda ni tak ada apalah, biasalah. If you think that this is neutral, nothing sexist, nothing racist, please state why. Okay. Terangkan kepada kita, terangkan kepada saya kenapa awak tak rasa this sentence is sexist or racist. Okay. So if you say that this is sexist, explain why. If you say this is racist, then explain why. All right. And then provide a solution or provide a suggestion or alternative whereby something that you can use to change this sentence from being sexist or being racist to something which is neutral. Tapi let's say walaupun contohlah Puan Jannah rasa biasalah orang panggil man and wife ni, tak ada apa yang seksisnya lah. Alright, you must state why, but then I also want you to provide a solution or put something as an alternative to replace this particular phrase, alright, yang carry the same meaning, masih lagi menunjukkan maksud yang sama tapi tidak menggunakan perkataan yang boleh disalah faham. I give you one particular example, contoh soalan nombor 1, alright. Bear in mind that all of these 10 statements, all right, are mostly taken from the Western culture. Okay, because all of our reference, all right, are mostly using the situation ataupun banyak mengadaptasi situasi-situasi daripada, ada juga yang Eastern culture, but most of it will be from the Western culture. So sometimes, all right, kadang-kadang kita rasa there are things yang untuk orang Westerners ni quite sensitive. For example lah, kalau kita nak tanya macam mana contoh apabila kita tanya dia orang tu ada kahwin ke tak, for example, kahwin ke tak, kita tak ask them are you married or not, we will ask them do you have a family. Alright, so they will understand, oh, I have a kid, I have 2 kids, I have a wife and 2 kids, macam tu. Dalam culture kita pula orang perempuan tak suka ditanya tentang umur, orang lelaki pula tak suka ditanya tentang gaji, for example. So those are differences that we have in culture. So for example, macam ni, I now pronounce you man and wife, okay? So maybe Cik Azwan rasa benda ni sexist. Okay, why sexist? Alright, because the phrase only say that, the phrase only emphasize on man, but then doesn't address the woman as woman, but only address the woman as wife. Okay, for example. Ataupun you rasa this is sexist because the sentence only put emphasis on wife and address the man as man but not as husband. So it can be in different perspective. This is a very kind of subjective, open-ended, based on your perspective and experience kind of question, because this is a case study. All right. So if you think that it is sexist because the man is not represented by the term husband ataupun the wife is not represented by the term woman, then you propose an alternative. So for me, all right, in my opinion, this sentence should be I pronounce you husband and wife, or I pronounce you man and woman. Barulah equal, for example, okay? And then we have other terms like white hats, okay? Man in the street, all right? White magic, and kept her name when she was married. Macam ni contoh kan. Kalau orang putih ataupun orang yang ada surname ni, dia akan follow their husband's name. So kalau dia nampak perempuan ni tak ikut their husband's name, for them pelik. Kenapa tak ikut husband's name ni? Apa dia ni power sangat ke, superior sangat ke? Macam tu. Alright? Macam kita band T kita masing-masing lah sebagai contoh macam tu. Kita tak ikut family's name ataupun surname. So I would like you to go through all the 10 sentences, identify whether they are sexist or racist. Alright? Please say ataupun put ataupun explain why they are sexist or racist, ataupun kalau you rasa benda ni tak sexist tak racist, explain why as well, and then provide alternative. Alright, to replace sama ada some of the words ataupun the whole sentence, asalkan ianya membawa, it carry the same meaning, membawa maksud yang sama. Okay, any question on question number 1? Any question on this part A? question number 1. Ada soalan ke? Faham ke?
Sir,
Yes,
part A
please.
tu dia kata 20 marks kan? So means that 2 marks lah for each.
Yes, 2 marks for
length.
each of the phrases.
Okay.
Sebab you will have to decide satu, lepas tu you have to explain lagi, and then you will have to provide alternative as well. So sebab tu dia heavy sikit tu. Okay? Alright, okay. Thank you. Alright, moving on to the next one. So this is in form of bukannya essay yang macam descriptive essay, bukannya essay yang macam kita cerita our holiday ke one fine day. Not like that. This is more on of a straightforward essay macam kita jawab exam. Macam masa kita buat degree dulu kan, kita jawab exam, that kind of essay. Alright, so by right it should be, selalunya we will set 300 to 350 words only, but then we know that some of you will be writing a lot, so you can go up until 500, tapi janganlah pergi lebih dan 500 tu banyak sangat lah. Alright, tak perlu pun flowery words or anything, just go straight away, alright, into determining the sentences, whether they are sexist or racist, alright, and if they are sexist, why, if they are racist, why, if they are none of the above, why, and provide alternative. Alright, okay, thank you. Alright, I'm gonna go to the second question. Alright, this one walaupun kita akan buat yang ni next week, alright, tapi you can already start, alright, the first part of this particular question. Alright, so managing conflict in relationship will be in chapter 9. So describe a recent, alright, tapi kalau let's say you want to take a look of the chapter first, saya dah attach the slides on your e-campus, so awak boleh tengok dekat situ lah. Alright, so describe a recent conflicting situation that you or anyone that you know have encountered at the workplace or while working. Alright, so it can be your own experience, it can be other person experience. Alright, so you need to describe the experience, alright, that you or another person have encountered while working, because all of you are working, so I've decided to use your working environment. Okay, so how was the conflict resolved? Macam mana konflik itu diselesaikan? Alright, still you are telling us your experience. Suggest some possible way that the conflict could have been resolved using the responses to the conflict. So this part, okay, this part saya belum cover lagi. This part will be next week. But then you can already start with this one. Okay, if you want to start, you can already start with this one. Tapi if you have a look at my chapter, the slides that I have uploaded, akan ada this part lah in the slides. Alright, so you will have to suggest some possible way that the conflict could have been resolved using the responses to conflict. Setelah awak menceritakan konflik apa yang awak hadapi di tempat kerja, macam mana awak menyelesaikan konflik tu, alright, based on these 4 responses, awak kena relate this responses to the suggestion, alright, awak kena suggest resolution ataupun suggest penyelesaian kepada konflik-konflik tu based on these 4 responses, berdasarkan keempat-empat respon ataupun approach ni. So kita ada 4 respon, exit respon, negative respon, loyalty respon, voice respon. Macam mana kita nak guna respon-respon ni untuk deal dengan konflik yang anda semua hadapi. So from your perspective, alright, di akhir sekali, decide which one is the best, alright, and then please explain to us why. Setelah awak beritahu kita from exit respon, okay, inilah caranya saya nak deal. From negative respon, inilah caranya saya nak deal. Loyalty respon, inilah caranya saya nak deal. Voice respon, inilah caranya saya nak deal based on voice respon. Alright, antara keempat-empat ni, I found out that neglect respon is the best way for me to deal with the conflict that I have encountered. Because, why? Explain to us. Okay? Explain to me lah, of course. Alright. So although we haven't covered this part yet, this one we cover next week, awak boleh start on this particular part already. Okay, so this is not that easy lah. It's not that hard, not that easy pula. It's not that hard actually to understand what is exit response, neglect response, loyalty response and void response. Secara kasarnya exit response ni kita ignore terus, konflik tu kita caw ya. Neglect response ni, alright, kita in the conflict, alright, but then kita cuba understand and neglect the negative part ataupun kita cuba come to a resolution. Okay, loyalty response, whatever happen, kita cuba ignore the conflict dan stay loyal in the relationship. Voice response, alright, kita dan juga orang yang involved dengan konflik tu sama-sama discuss and come up with a solution to our conflict. So which one of these four, alright, are very suitable to deal with the conflict? And any question on this part B? Tulis ke part B Any question on part B? Okay kot clear kot kan?
Clear.
Alright, thank you. Alright, so the assignment will have to be done in English. Alright, so try your best to write everything in English. Of course, okay. Kalau rasa grammar tak apa okay ke apa tu tak apalah. As long as the answer ataupun the responses ataupun whatever it is that you are writing is understandable. Kalau tersilap grammar tu abaikanlah, biasalah, tak ada markah pun untuk grammar. Don't worry about that. What's more important is your content, alright, and how you understand the utilization of this technique. Macam mana kita tahu nak guna the four responses, macam mana kita nak tahu sesetengah phrases ataupun perkataan tu sexist ataupun racist, for example. Contoh macam ni lah. Number 7, Yamamoto is from Japan but he acts like a regular guy. Kenapa? Sebab selalu orang ada impression yang Japanese ni very kemas, sangat sopan, suka hide, suka jumpa orang je tunduk, hide. Contohlah kan, ataupun sangat menepati masa. Tapi tengok Yamamoto ni dengan tak kemasnya, dengan selebeknya, dengan lambat ni, macam bukan orang Jepun lah. So are we being racist over there? Kita meletakkan certain kind of characteristic according to ethnicity. Walaupun sebenarnya benda tu elok je, tapi because we are characterizing people based on their ethnicity, so it will be a form of racism as well. But then up to your perspective, kalau awak rasa benda ni tak racist pun biasa je, then explain to me why. Okay? Alright. Yes,
Okay.
question?
Sir,
Yes, please.
Format, ada format tak?
Format format macam mana? Maksudnya structure ke?
Mungkin ada font ke atau
Font.
setting lah, setting ke.
So
Ikutlah.
standard lah kot kan, Times New Roman 12 1.5. Okay lah tu. Times New Roman 12 1.5, 350 words, but then if you go to 500 pun tak apalah, no problem. I will still read them. 5 orang je, no problem. Okay. How many paragraph tu? Let's say 4 to 5 lah, okay dah. 4 to 5 pun okay. Tak perlu pun like 10 ayat ni 10 paragraph, tak perlu pun. You can combine them in a few sentences, in a few paragraph as well. Okay. Alright. So again, I would like to remind submission of individual presentation. Alright, 23 hari bulan 12 next week. Submission of what you call it, this one, case study 6 hari bulan Januari, which is the first week of January. Okay ke? Right Alright, any question?
Okay, sir.
Alright, thank you. So I guess there's no more question, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. So thank you very much for joining. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan, you can always ask me directly or you can always ask in our WhatsApp group and we can discuss together lah dengan kawan-kawan kita semua. Alright, ada chatting lah ni? Oh, tak ada. Alright, okay. So I guess that's all for tonight. Thank you very much. Alright, selamat berehat, selamat berhujung minggu, berjaga-jaga banjir. Dah dapat amanah banjir dalam text messages dah tadi, jeli dengan caller cry, tapi bujur lah. Tempat saya ni tinggi sikit. Kesian kat orang yang duduk dekat-dekat tempat rendah lah. And then keep yourself safe. Alright, COVID pun ada lagi. So I hope to see you again next week. And don't forget the assignment, alright, presentation, right, which will have to be submitted next week. Okay. So macam biasa, submit dalam eCampus. Saya dah sediakan slot dalam eCampus. So for assignment 1, hanya paste the link of YouTube. Alright. So it can be one video, it can be 2 videos, up to you because kita ada 2 soalan kan. And then for assignment 2 nanti, submit in form of Microsoft Word document. Betul macam tu lah. Tak senang saya nak conteng. Microsoft Word document, attach saja dalam eCampus. Alright. Okay, thank you very much. I see you again next week. All right. Good night. Assalamualaikum and have a very nice weekend, everyone. Thank you. Assalamualaikum. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Terima kasih.